Are we ever going to do Kill Bill?
These words hypnotized the director. He went home, found the 30-page draft, and read it all night long.
We not only see she is a bride, but she's 8 months pregnant. Interior wedding chapel day, overhead shot. We hear step, step, step.
A few weeks later, at Uma's birthday party, he told her that the screenplay was a present. However, the 200-page final script appeared a year later.
Bill, it's your baby.
Cut to black screen. The fourth film by Quentin Tarantino.
The script for Kill Bill can be confidently called the anti-Jackie Brown.
You believe that shit?
Tarantino was not about to make the same mistake twice. Minimal dialogue, tons of action, a focus on young actors, and his typical anti-linear plot. As soon as they read the screenplay, Miramax offered him $40 million, and the project started up in April of 2001.
So the whole idea on Kill Bill was to test the limits of my talent.
After Uma Thurman, the cast was joined by Michael Madsen and Samuel L. Jackson, though Jackson's role was more of a cameo. Lucy Liu was invited to play the role of O-Ren Ishii after Quentin saw her in Shanghai Noon. He was so spellbound by her acting that he even rewrote a character for her who was initially meant to be purely Japanese.
The price you pay for bringing up either my Chinese or American heritage as a negative is, I collect your fucking head.
It was harder to find an actor to play Bill. Tarantino invited Kevin Costner and Warren Beatty, but both refused. Costner is practically famous for saying no to Quentin's films, and Beatty lacked the desire to devote time to learning martial arts. Therefore, Quentin offered the role to a person who didn't need to learn martial arts at all. David Carradine became the perfect candidate. First of all, he had starred in many martial arts films.
You know, I did 11 Shakespearean plays.
Second of all, he had been in Mean Streets, one of Tarantino's favorite films. And third, he desperately needed to resurrect his career.
Just forget the past.
Well, the actors had been chosen and were ready to start shooting. The studio gave Quentin the green light, and he was already getting the film crew together, when in the middle of 2001, it became known that Uma Thurman was pregnant, and obviously could not start working. And though Harvey Weinstein insisted that Quentin find a different female lead, the director was unmoved. He answered Miramax in his typical way.
If Joseph von Sternberg is getting ready to make Morocco and Marlene Dietrich gets pregnant, he waits for Dietrich.
Because of this, filming was delayed for a year, but the director didn't waste his time and began looking for the rest of his team. He invited his favorite stuntwoman, Zobel, who is behind most of the bride's crazy moves. The acting ensemble was joined by Gordon Liu, who played the squad leader of Johnny Moe's Crazy 88. And the teacher, Pai Mei. Initially, Quentin had planned on playing Pai Mei himself, and even completed 2 months of martial arts training, but changed his mind at the last second. True to his tradition, Quentin also invited actresses who needed a job, like Vivica Fox.
He was in the video store, and he saw Two Can Play That Game sitting on the shelf, and he said that it stopped him, and he said, wow, I haven't seen Vivica since really Independence Day. And he went, there's my Vernita.
And Daryl Hannah.
That's right. I killed your master. And now I'm gonna kill you too.
What's cooler than cool? L Driver.
Later, Robert Richardson joined them, who had previously filmed Platoon, Casino, and A Few Good Men. And it's worth mentioning that he also filmed Natural Born Killers, and had often worked with Oliver Stone. In order to choreograph the fight scenes and train the actors, they hired Wu Ping Yuen, who had worked on The Matrix and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. The music was done by rapper RZA.
He asked me would I like to produce the soundtrack in the way that I produce Wu-Tang albums. I said, well, it's, whatever, I do, that's easy. I mean, that's like nothing. If that's what you want, consider it done.
And Robert Rodriguez, who required that Tarantino pay him a salary of exactly $1. Tarantino returned the favor when he insisted on the same deal for filming a piece of Robert Rodriguez's Sin City. But more on that later. Another interesting fact, Sonny Chiba was invited to play the role of Hattori Hanzo.
And I've been wanting to work with Sonny since I was a little kid. And Sonny Chiba, one of his coolest things that he did amongst all these great movies is he had a TV show. All right, the Japanese title of the show was Kage no Gunda. And each time they did a new show, he was a different Hattori Hanzo. It'd be like, Hattori Hanzo the first, and then he'd be Hattori Hanzo the second. And so I just continued that philosophy when I wrote my Hattori Hanzo. So he's Hattori Hanzo the 100th in Kill Bill.
You must have a big rat. You need a Hattori Hanzo as a stew.
Sonny is a legend of Japanese martial arts films.
That guy up there, it's Sonny Chiba.
The Oriental?
Yeah, the one in black.
Who in real life likes to make katanas and retired from acting after his role in Kill Bill. Only 5 months after Thurman gave birth to her son, on the 17th of June, 2002, filming finally commenced.
Action!
Yeah, cool. When talking about the creation of this film, sooner or later all discussions lead to the House of Blue Leaves. Tarantino wanted to create the most epic action scene of all time, and was willing to do anything to achieve that vision. In order to completely avoid computer graphics, he insisted that the special effects team use a method from Japanese films, where they load the stuntmen up with condoms full of fake blood. Even the blood was chosen with deadly precision.
I don't want horror movie blood, alright? I want samurai blood.
In the end, more than 1,500 liters of fake blood was spilled. The scene became a trial for the whole film crew, and for the actors and the stuntmen. And instead of 2 weeks, the predicted time needed to shoot the scene, it took 2 months.
I've always considered action directors the greatest movie directors in the world. If you can do action well, then you're the greatest. Great job.
Its final version, by the way, was shown in the US and many countries in Europe in black and white, whereas in Japan, for example, it was shown in color. All this because the MPAA wanted to give it a rating of NC-17 instead of the typical R rating. One of the most random lines in the film is the comment made by the club manager with regards to Bud's hat.
How many times have I told you? Don't wear that fucking hat here.
The truth is that Quentin couldn't stand that hat, but Michael Madsen believed it was an essential part of his character's image, so the director edited the screenplay and immortalized his distaste.
That I want you to keep that shit kicker hat at home.
Also, in front of the club where Bud works, Butch's Honda Civic is parked, the same one which Jackie Brown drove. But Quentin didn't limit himself to references to his own films.
get done.
Kill Bill became a paradise for Easter egg hunters. A scene worth special mention is the one where Daryl Hannah is depicting the pain of Elle Driver, clearly inspired by the suffering of Pris from Blade Runner, which she had depicted 20 years earlier. Another interesting scene was this one, filmed at a real Mexican brothel. All the extras seen on the screen were real members of this ancient profession.
Esteban was a pimp and a friend of Bill's mother.
And if you were wondering why Thurman didn't star in any more of Quentin's films, the answer surfaced only in 2018. On one of the last days of shooting, Uma asked to be replaced with a stunt double during this scene. However, no double was scheduled for that day, and the stunt coordinator had the day off. So Tarantino convinced her to do the scene herself, reassuring her that there was no danger involved. A few minutes later, the actress lost control of the car and crashed it into a tree. She received many injuries, including a concussion and knee injuries. It was this event which corrupted the chemistry between them. They only made peace later in 2018, when Quentin helped the actress get footage of this event, which she attached to the sexual assault charges in the Harvey Weinstein lawsuit. But that's a separate story altogether. Filming took 155 days and finished on the 3rd of March, 2003, 3 months later than the shooting schedule.
Yeah, we're way over schedule. And we're way over our original budget. But it's still the biggest motherfucking bargain in town. We're Miramax's competition to The Matrix. We're Miramax's competition to Die Another Day in Star Wars.
Kill Bill was supposed to be one composition lasting around 3 hours, but Harvey Weinstein suggested that Quentin split it into 2 parts. Tarantino happily agreed, since that gave him the chance to expand the characters' backstories and action scenes more.
This is what you get for fucking around, Yakuzas! Go home to your mother!
Kill Bill Volume 1 premiered on the 29th of September 2003, and Volume 2 on the 8th of April the next year. Together, the pictures brought in over $350 million and became Quentin's most successful work to date. Of course, this time, he didn't expect any recognition from the Academy. The film wasn't nominated in a single category at the Oscars, but at least Uma Thurman was nominated for the Golden Globe for both volumes. The second time, she was joined by David Carradine. However, the main success of this duology was the fact that after a series of unfortunate events and failures, Tarantino once again regained confidence in his abilities.
Do you like our work? Let us know with your like and comment. Push that subscribe button and share with your friends. If you want to support the project financially, become our sponsor on Patreon or YouTube sponsorship. Thank you.